All right, everyone. Good whatever time of day you're listening to this at. Gamers, gamerettes, non-gender conforming people who enjoy playing video games and animals. If you've trained your animal, if you've trained your animal to play video games, like the fish that has what did he beat Pokemon? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Fire red or something.
Yeah, I don't even know what type of fish it is. It's like a goldfish or
Goldfish.
the goldfish that beat Fire Red, which is like I don't even and how many hours was it? And was it like it was like something absurd, right? Like 1,000 hours.
Oh, I don't know. It had to be. It had to have been.
I'm surprised that happened in our lifetime.
Hey, my first dog has one confirmed kill in Skyrim.
How?
The first week that I had the dog, I was playing Skyrim, and the dog ran downstairs and was so excited to see me that she jumped up onto my lap and hit the button that stabbed someone, and then they died.
That's awesome. I thought you were gonna say that your dog like barked and then the Kinect picked it up and it like foosed someone off like the edge or something like that. Yeah, I think about that fish a lot because that is like the confirmed theory of like if you put a bunch of monkeys in an endless room of like typewriters, that eventually one of the monkeys will accidentally, just by chance, create like a full like Shakespeare work of art or like piece of Shakespeare media or some shit like that.
Some would say that's what we're doing right now. If you just sit two people in front of a microphone, eventually they'll say something worthwhile.
Exactly. So let's get on to the actual meat of the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Halo 3. We are gamers and we have played Halo 3. This is the third game, as the title suggests, in our Halo journey. Early in the year, we finished Halo 1 and 2. We also did some mini episodes about that. This was, my man, I don't even know what number foray into Halo 3 this was. Just a little background in case you haven't saw the other minicast. You're just tuning into 3 because you want to hear about 3. I've played these games for my whole life. Jake has dipped his little toes in them, but for most of them, yeah, he's dabbled, but he hasn't really consumed them to the level as I have and a lot of Halo gamers have. So we're getting some perspectives, and we're going to talk about how we felt about Halo 3, playing it in late 2023, how we feel about it in a modern perspective, maybe reflecting on how it was in the past, and just talking about our personal opinion on it. And just so everyone knows, we're only talking about the campaign. The multiplayer is a completely different beast. You just had to be there, and I don't think either of us were there for that.
Yeah, I don't think you had to be there. I think you can definitely get into Halo 3 and onward. I'd say you could probably get into Halo 1 and 2. I've tried to get into, and it's rough going back if you weren't there.
Yeah. My thing is that because this happens with every game that has existed for a long time, and it has had sequels come out, because a lot of people who have been in those multiplayer servers are gone now, and most of the people in these servers now are the people who have been there the whole time, or the people who've had a lot of experience with it and are coming back. So it's one of those things where you're jumping in and everyone else is just leagues above you, and that's always been hard to pin down how the multiplayer is, because it's already evolved. It's not like playing a game from its infancy and then seeing how following it along as it grows. It's already there. I don't even know how to tackle a subject like that. Maybe you can. I can't.
It's how some games you get a 1 week free trial and then you get to get really good at the game before all your friends get it. It's like that, but it's 10 years instead of 1 week.
Okay. Well, I've never done that because I've always thought about how I would miss the game once the free trial ends. So let's just talk about the single player.
Yeah, I'm saying we're not doing the multiplayer because of that, but at some point I do want to go to it. Maybe we'll talk about it on a future episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a minicast just for the multiplayers if you want to, stick your face in them. So what do you want to start with the conversation about Halo 3? I guess just start about with your base thoughts right now. How you feeling about it?
I think so far, out of the 3 that we've played, Halo 3 is the most complete package, but because it's not the anniversary edition like Halo 2 or 1 was, it feels dated. Even though the gameplay itself, I think, is like more, it's modern. It's modern in ways I wouldn't expect, and antiquated in other ways that I would expect.
Interesting.
So like, if you sat me down in front of Halo 3 remastered, let's say this, like, Halo 3 had new graphics, so there's no way for me to know that it's an old game, I'd think, wow, this is a good game, but it feels like they didn't know what they were doing half the time. But because I know, I have the perspective of when this game came out and all that, I'm like, wow, they knew what they were doing in these specific areas, and the areas that I think they fall short, they were literally the first ones to do that kind of stuff. So I think we can excuse them a little bit.
Interesting. Do you want to bring up what areas you're talking about in specific? Because I actually can't even. Usually, I try to like think ahead and like I'm like, what is he gonna say? Like, is he gonna talk about this? I actually have no clue what you could be talking about.
I think that the gunplay is extremely tight. I think the weapon variety is awesome.
Okay.
I think that the storytelling told through the first-person narrative, the way that we were doing it before, has been elevated. And I do think that the landscapes and level design, but the art of the worlds is so like above its pay grade. I think the worlds look fantastic. But where I think it falls short most noticeably is in its animations and its cutscenes. But like I said, they were limited by the technology. There was only so much they could do. So I'm going to let that slide, I think. But what I'm really referring to is the way that the enemy AI worked and the way that levels were designed around that. Where I think they were trying something new, where it was like the enemies would be a lot more aggressive in certain situations and would play more like reserved in other ones, so that it was a dynamic, like some levels you have to be on the offensive to do well, and some levels you have to play defensively to do well. And in the other games, I feel like you could have just blown through them, just like running and shooting the entire time. You never really had to hide behind cover unless it was like a swarm. Whereas this one, the levels were challenging in different ways, and I like that idea, but I don't think it played out as well as it would in a modern game.
Okay, sure. Do you have a level in specific that you're thinking of? Or no?
It has been far too long since we played the game for me to remember which level in specific. But what I'll say, just to wrap up my thoughts, is that all of that negativity considered, these are the thing you say I always do. I just wanted to put that out there. But honestly, this is my favorite Halo so far.
Right. Okay.
Out of the ones we've played. I do think it's the best campaign. I think it's a full package. Playing it is just damn fun. And the story is just silly fun. So, all my nitpicks, yeah, it was annoying sometimes, but at the end of the day, it was a really good Halo game, and I'm glad that we went through it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Although this is one of those things where, in some of the reviews I write, I just have to write like right at the top, biased review, because I just don't know how to feel poorly about certain games that I've like been playing my entire life. And Halo 3 is one of them. I think for Ocarina of Time, I just only said positive things. Like every single thing was just like, I love this, I love this, I love this. And I put like biased review because I genuinely am just like, I can't even think of anything bad. I'm so familiar with this game. I love it so much. And it's beyond the point of me being like, I can't even be objective about it. I don't even think. Like, I don't know if I could be objective about certain games like that. And I think Halo 3 might be one of them. I like struggle to find any genuine like flaws with it. At least
how about this? Any level where a majority of the level was spent in a vehicle, I think was a waste of time.
Oh no, I love those. I love those levels. You didn't like the tank level?
Okay, the tank level I'll give a pass to, I think, but even then, was the tank level also the level where it's like the big two scarab fight at the end?
Yes.
Where you have to I didn't think that played out very well, and I don't think those big open levels where you were on like the choppers just driving past enemies at some points and then like optionally attacking them. I didn't care for that. But any of the close quarters missions, like what's the one mission where you're like on boots on the ground, like in a city and you're being bombarded? I liked that one a lot.
Boots on the ground in a city, you're being bombarded.
And then there was the one where you're in the flood ship at the end.
Oh yeah.
Those are really cool. And then the one where the flood lands on Earth is also really, really awesome.
That's really interesting because at least the flood ship, the one at the end, I know a lot of people actually give the flood ship grief because it's like it is just non-fucking stop with the flood. But I do like that because it kind of shows you it's like, yeah, this would be hell to get through. And it's kind of in a way sort of where like narrative and gameplay kind of intertwine. And I think in another game I'd probably be like, this fucking sucks. But because it's Halo 3, I'm like, yeah, this would be terrible. All right, yeah, give it a point.
I think the perspective that you also need to know from me is that you were playing this. It wasn't your first time playing it, so you knew what to expect. I was playing this my first time as a co-op experience, as my first time through it.
Yeah, I was going crazy.
So like certain, like maybe if I was playing by myself, I would appreciate the big open levels more or the boss fights more. But because I was playing co-op, it just changed the way I was thinking of things, because it's like, we're taking this on together. These huge challenges should be like challenging, like me and you have to work together to get through it. But whenever it's this giant open world where we're on two completely different sides of the map, not even like cooperating in the game, we're just like chatting, it's not the same.
We're just hanging out. Yeah. That's kind of like some of the things I was thinking about, because I was thinking about you were saying that the desert level where you're in the tank and then you get the two scarab tanks at the end. I'm like, that was like really cool because I got into a chopper and then I flew off the ramp and then I jumped out of the chopper. I landed on the two scarab and I punched it and it blew up. And I was like, wait a minute, he didn't do that.
Yeah, I watched you do that.
yeah, Jake watched me do. Jake watched me have fun, pretty much. Were you dead or were you even alive?
Well, that's another thing people have to know, because I'm sure that there's people out there fuming that I'm hating on Halo 3. I'm bad at these games.
Yeah.
So I die quite a bit, and I watch Jonathan do his thing.
Yeah, I guess that does put a damper out. You might have to hop in yourself. We did play on advanced, and that's one of not advanced. Is it called advanced? Heroic. There we go.
No, heroic. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I really like about Halo 3 is that I felt like the difficulty was very. What's the word? I was gonna say difficult. It felt like reasonably challenging. Like
yeah, and I think it was consistent.
It was very consistent.
The other two games had extreme difficulty spikes at certain moments, whereas this one I felt like was challenging throughout.
Yeah, like Halo 2 has the problems of the vehicles being made out of cardboard, and then most of the enemies, most of like the high level like leader enemies, like the elites, and to a lesser degree the elites, but mostly like the brutes, which is like the entire enemy faction you're fighting at the end of Halo 2. The brutes take so much damage. The brutes move so fast. They do so much damage. They're just raging constantly. There's that like next to final room in Halo 2 where it's just like 6 like brute captains and they're all raging and you're just like, well, I guess this is just it. But they really toned down. They made the brutes the main enemy in this game, so you're not fighting elites anymore, so no more shields. But they made the brutes, they completely changed how their AI works, how they take damage, and it's just a more consistent and reliable experience. You're like, oh, a group of brutes, this could be challenging. Meanwhile, if I saw like 2 brutes together in Halo 2, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna be here all day. But now I see brutes and I'm like, they can kill me. They can definitely kill me if they get like the jump on me and I'm not prepared or whatever, but I know how to deal with them,
Yeah. Yeah, tell me what's some of your favorite parts of Halo 3 and what's like your overall opinion of this replay?
Oh man, I really do love almost all of Halo 3. I'm looking through the missions right now. What could I say? Savo Highway is great. That's the first mission where you're on the Warthog after the base like explodes and you escape. And you get on the Warthog, and then you can get on the Chopper, and that's the first time you play with the Chopper, and the Chopper's really fun. You know, it's really finicky. It can be really finicky, especially with the charge move and the other enemies on Choppers, but, like, that's just a fun vehicle to have. Floodgate, like you know what it is? I think the campaign is, like, and maybe you disagree with me on this, but I think that the campaign is super, paced. I think it's paced very, very well.
Yeah.
You know, because we start out in the jungle, the tutorial mission sort of ish, and we go through a lot of different encounters, big areas with like a lot of action going on. Like already it's started, and it's good level design, good like firefights to be had, great. And then we move on to the Crow's Nest, which is the human facility that we're running through. And we like go back and forth, and it's getting invaded. And then the next mission, we get the vehicles, and then the next mission and I think that's the one we get the scarabs, and then immediately after, we get the flood reintroduced back in the game. You know, halfway through the game, then the another vehicle segment, and then you know it just kind of goes in that order, and I just love that. I love that shit. I love how they paced it. The
journey that we go on as Master Chief in this one, I'm gonna, whenever we were playing it, I couldn't help but think it was like Indiana Jonesy, where it's like we have 3 or 4 destinations that we know we're gonna go to, and we're just like, how are we gonna get there? Like, what are we gonna do while we're there? But the action was a lot more like a modern action movie, where it just like puts you right into it, and you get the story as you're going, instead of like slow build up at the beginning and then drop you into the action later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I really like Halo 3 because of its story is almost like reeled back in a way, but it's also it's the culmination of the trilogy, and everything is at its biggest, everything is at its riskiest, things are going down. And it could be like, you know, end of the earth type, end of humanity type scenario is what's going on. Like literally, like we're gonna lose Earth, even though you know humanity is already inhabited like a ton of other star systems. They're like, we can't lose Earth.
That's the one where we have McDonald's.
Yeah, we have McDonald's there. We don't have a patent for any other planets. Do you think that'll happen one day? Do you think like 4,000 years in the future they'll be like, we can't put I don't even know. We can't put like the beef pill food place on Mars. We don't have the licensing for that.
I think right now space is international waters, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know.
That's cool. I can kill someone in space and no one can do anything about it.
I don't know about that. But.
Yeah. Well, they did it in that Call of Duty game, I think.
They did. They also did it in Halo 3, where you murder people in space.
That's true. I don't think you're in space in Halo 3.
Well, where's the flood ship? Is that on Earth? Yeah, that's on Earth.
No, that's oh man, I don't know.
Wait, what about the thing at the end? We're definitely up in the sky. I don't know if we're in space.
The Ark. The Ark is in space. I don't know. Yeah. The Ark is kind of its own planet. It's like, when we're on the ring, would you say we're in space? I kind of think of it like I just think of it like we're on a planet, because that's, you know, it has its atmosphere, has gravity. It pretty much works like a planet. I know it's not a planet, but that's kind of what I'm just like, it's a planet, you know?
I liked the Ark because it was like, I don't remember yeah, I don't remember the order of events. In Halo 2, did we find out that there were more Halo rings? We had to have, right?
I think we found out. Oh yeah, no, yeah. In Halo 2, I was gonna say at the end of Halo 1. I'm like, no, they don't. I don't think they do find out there's more Halo rings at the end of Halo 1. Halo 1 just kind of ends. They're just like, I think
Halo 2 just kind of ends.
Yeah. Halo 2 just kind of ends. Yeah, they find out like right in the beginning, I think, that there's like a ton more Halo rings. They're like, fuck, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but the reason I like the Ark is because it was like, I'm trying to think of a good like literary example, but like the thing that comes to mind is in a show or like a movie or whatever, where the enemy is like, let's use Dragon Ball as an example. Like the first arc in Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyans come down and just like beat the shit out of everyone, and then later you find out that there's like there was hundreds more of those. Like,
oh yeah.
And now we get to the place in Halo 3, we get to the arc where you control all of the, like, one Halo was enough to build a game around because it was that, like, world ending. Now there's like 16 of them and you're in the spot that triggers them. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. And yeah, that's the like this type of stuff that makes this really feel like this is it. This is the fight to save everything. All the chips are down on the table. But something about the story that I really like is how they kind of reel it in a way. Halo 2 has a lot of rad cutscenes, where Chief is doing like action movie shit that's not in any other part of the series, by the way. Chief, the first mission starts out with the Covenant planting a neutron bomb on the space station, and then Chief is like, I'm gonna drag it out. I'm literally gonna use my two hands. I'm gonna drag out the neutron bomb, push it out of the airlock, ride it, kick it into like the reactor of this other ship, and then blow it the fuck up. Like there's shit like that all over Halo 2. And like just big moments and characters telling you what's going on and being like, that's a big deal. Meanwhile, Halo 3, it's very like, you can really forget a lot of what happens in the cutscenes because it's almost realistic in a way, the way everyone's kind of talking to you. Everyone is very serious. There's very little dramatic.
What about Chips Dubbo?
This Chips Dubbo, right? I can't even think of what he says. But yeah, he's definitely in the game. But there's no like, it's not like a dramatic telling of the story. It's a very like, this is happening, but in terms of like the acting and stuff and how they're portraying like what's going on, it's like, yeah, everything is going to shit. We need to act now, but we're a bunch of people who are gonna get it done, and we're not gonna complain, and we're not gonna make it a big deal. We're gonna make sure it's done, and all like the big drama moments are done in moments of really, like, I want to say the soundtrack and the way they filmed, or the way they like set these shots and certain things. One of the moments that specifically, I mean, besides like the final Warthog run, which has an amazing soundtrack behind it, is when the Arbiter kills the Prophet of Truth, and that has that track in the background that's really like, mounting up while he's kind of manhandling the Prophet of Truth, and he says, what does he say? He says something, your voice, like, you need to be silenced, or so. He says something hard as shit. I remember it when I'm watching the scene, I know exactly what he says, but now I'm like, it's kind of slipping my mind. But he says the hardest shit, and it's like cool as fuck. But I wouldn't even be surprised if a lot of people who play the game didn't remember it, because they didn't really write these cutscenes out to be like quotable and super like stand out in your brain, despite them being like really, really good. Is that making sense? Do you know what I'm kind of saying?
Yeah, I do. I think it's honestly, part of it is because we like know some of the characters coming into this, right? Like Johnson and Keyes and all them. So I think being able to ground the story through, like, even if these characters aren't that strong and we don't know that much about them, it's like that's just someone that you can trust, quote unquote, to give you the narrative, and so you believe it a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's also like, these characters, they don't hold your hand either. They're like, if you don't know a character, that's tough. Like the Shipmaster. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No idea.
Okay, it's that elite in Halo 2 who tells.
Oh yeah.
He's in the white armor.
He's missing a thing, right?
Yeah, he's missing a little divot on his mouth. On his like 4-pronged mouth, he's missing one. Yeah. The Shipmaster just shows up, and no one ever like talks to him, or I mean, he has a conversation. He's in a scene where he's like, "I'm leaving. I'm getting the fuck out of here." But no one's ever like, "Shipmaster."
That's the Shipmaster.
Yeah, that's the Shipmaster. You were this, that. How dare you leave? They're just like, Shipmaster just shows up, and he's like looking at Arbiter. He's looking at Lord Hood, which is a great name. He's looking at Lord Hood, and he's like, it
is a great name.
He looks at Lord Hood, and he's like, this is beyond the point of return. We should leave. Like, if you're continuing this fight, this is stupid. And Lord Hood's like, tough. You know, it's very simple. There's no there's a lot to digest and read into in the actual scenes because they kind of reel it back. You know, like Lord Hood wants to fight for Earth, blah blah blah, but he's not saying that. He's just saying like, I'm staying. Sorry, L.
Yeah, I did appreciate the double plot twist at the end. Where they need the human. What does Johnson say? He's like, he can't start his own party or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And then so the keys in there like, we're just gonna kill ourselves, and I was like, oh okay, all right. Like that's extreme, but I get where you're coming from. Like it feels like the end of like an Alien movie where they're like, that is something I could see happening, and then twist they don't get to, and then at the end. Guilty Spark, who I never trusted the entire time, so this wasn't much of a twist, but I didn't expect Johnson to die.
Oh, yeah.
Turns on them, kills Johnson. Or, he kills Johnson, right? Or does he, like, wound him and then he stays behind or something?
Blows a hole in his chest. Yeah, he's definitely dead.
So,
yeah, that's
cool.
Yeah, that's one of the scenes that I actually kind of picked up that I never really picked up before, because, when I was a kid, they're kind of talking, and I was just like, oh, something big is happening. But that scene of them being like, of Miranda Keyes pointing the gun at Johnson, he's like, do it, and I was like, oh, like that kind of clicked for me. I kind of really understood. I never really picked it up before. It was just like I never really thought about it, but in that playthrough, I really understood. I was like, that's a really good scene, because he really is just like, we should just kill each other, Like, that's great.
I wasn't expecting it. Whenever I get into a situation in a movie where the writer can put me in like a mindset where I'm like, I literally cannot see how they could possibly get out of this, and then they pull some creative shit like that, even if it is just, let's kill ourselves. It's not that creative, but you know what I mean? Like, I certainly was not expecting it. So whenever something like that happens, I'm like, oh, this is a popcorn movie. I love this shit.
Yeah, it's definitely really good. It's like, it's one of those things where like I would definitely watch. If the people who made Halo 3 made a movie, but they specifically were like, we're gonna make it like Halo 3, I think I would watch it. That would be a very interesting movie. I think it would be a very, maybe not like I'm gonna show this to all my friends, but a movie you could sit down and really like absorb a lot of if you're like paying attention.
I think stoic is the right word for the movie, like the cutscenes and everything. I feel like everyone's just like when they show emotion, it's really important because they don't do it a lot.
That's a good, yeah. That's actually a great descriptor. I think that's not something you usually attribute to media. I feel like, but that's actually a great way to describe it because that's how it feels like. They had a certain style they were going for, and I think that really, really, really worked for them. And it's one of those things where it's hard to put your finger on exactly what they did right, but you could talk about it a lot. I feel like.
Yeah, and it has an ending, a good ending.
It does certainly have an ending, and Master Chief fucking dies.
Yeah, and really. I like how the ending, the regular ending, is straight up like, well, trilogy's over, men. Salute the last 3 games you love so much. You waited outside a GameStop for 9 hours to get your hands on Halo 3 day 1, and this is the end. I'm crying at the credits, and then the legendary ending is like. Yeah, but like, we like money.
Yeah, we like money a little bit. Yeah, and I never saw that. I never saw that final ending. For the people who don't know, they try to say that Chief dies at the end of Halo 3. They say the main character of the 3 games you just played dies, and it's also off screen. It's really funny. So they escape this big explosion sequence. They teleport out of there, but something goes wrong with the teleport. And it closes in on the ship while Master Chief is on like a certain side of the ship. So the ship gets split up, and one side of the ship makes it to its destination, and the other side of the ship like just gets lost in space. And when I was a kid, that was it. That's kind of where it ends. It ends with this memorial segment where Chief's numbers are on this memorial monument. And then they're like, that's it, he's dead. But there's an ending when you beat the game in the hardest difficulty where it's like he's alive and he's in the ship and he goes into cryosleep or whatever. But they don't. But I didn't know that because I was 8, so I wasn't playing the legendary ending or anything like that. But in the Master Chief Collection, they just made it a part of the ending after the credits, I think.
Oh yeah.
They just made it like right. Yeah, they just played it immediately, right? We didn't have to look it up on YouTube or anything.
I remember you had me look something up, but I don't know if it was that or if it was the other thing from Halo 2.
I think it was the thing from Halo 2. It was the first cutscene that we couldn't view for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was also. Like I think a lot of people definitely could have been like, that was it. That was the end.
And like there was obviously more. Like, yes, you took out. Was it Truth? From the Covenant, like one of the leaders, like the guy. You took out the guy.
Yeah.
So you can assume that now that he's gone, that this Covenant situation is going to fall to the wayside. You also presumably killed the last of the Flood, I think, by activating the Halo ring. Because that was where the Gravemind was, right? I think.
Yeah, you're right.
We should record these sooner after we play them. That's probably but so like you can put 2 and 2 together to be like, yeah, I think after this everything's going to be hunky dory for the UNSC and United States and Earth and all that.
Yeah.
But clearly there was room for, even if they didn't have that scene at the end, to have more stories to tell.
Yeah, in a way it kind of still is over, because it's not like the next couple of games they were like, the Flood's back. It's not like it was all for nothing. You know how in the new Star Wars, Palpatine just comes back, and it's like, well,
don't remind me.
Yeah, it's like, well, what are we doing? What happened to I thought it threw him down into like the nebulous void or whatever, and he blew up. What happens? It kind of like, it feels almost disingenuous to the original like endings of the thing to like bring back a villain like that. And it's like, what? And I think it like does. I think the later Halo games kind of honor that ending. So a lot of people can kind of find, even though it's still following Chief in his like new adventures or whatever you want to call them, it's still an ending in a way. Sort of to like that era, I would say. That plot point. Like that is like nailed in the hammer. It's done. And it's still an ending. Even though Chief is to be found in the universe, it's still kind of over,
Yeah, no, I that's why I think it's such a good ending, is because it literally is the ending of the trilogy. Honestly, Halo 4 through Infinite could probably be just considered their own piece of media. Like, it doesn't even have to be connected for you to really appreciate it. I mean, there's so much that ties back to it, so like you get the most out of it. But like you could just jump on in Halo 4 and be completely fine. I believe. I haven't played 5 to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that outside of just like lore stuff, that's like a new story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think honestly you might, because we're gonna play through 4 eventually, and you might be like, because I'm thinking about it right now. 4 really has almost nothing. Like it has not almost nothing. I meant almost nothing to do with the original trilogy, besides the fact that it has something to do with Cortana.
No, I know what you're talking about, because I have played the Halo 4 campaign. That's one of the few that I have played, and as someone who was like you, just listening to the people be like, wow, something important's happening right now. I appreciated Halo 4 for what it was, even though I didn't get the lore and like background stuff.
I'm really excited for us to play Halo 3 ODST, because that's like my personal favorite in terms of like tone and gameplay and characters. I really like that, but I'm also really excited for Halo 4 because they did something really not wild, but they did something really different with that story. I don't know how much you remember it, but they told a really like personal story that is like completely unlike the other Halo games that I'm very fond of. I'm very fond of that. So I'm very excited to jump into that. But do you have any final thoughts before we jump into ranking some of the set pieces in the series? Do you have anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, I think we need a Halo 3 Anniversary Edition ASAP.
Really?
Because I really love this game. It's honestly one of my favorite co-op first-person shooter campaigns, which I know there's not that many of them, but just in general, like it's an important genre to me. And so far, this is one of my favorites. It's definitely one of my favorite games, I think, just from going through it the one time. But the issues that I have with it, like I said, I'm willing to look past them, but it would be nice if I didn't have to. So just Get us that version with like updated cutscenes and a little bit better gameplay and everything, and I think we're set.
All right, I can get behind that. Will it happen?
Maybe. I think it's more likely than you think.
We got to see what happens with Infinite. We got to see if they make a Halo game.
That's why I think it's more likely than you think that they would go back to the well rather than do something new again.
Do we even have any information on, like, are they going to release a DLC? Wasn't that supposed to be a thing?
There is a battle royale in the works, presumably. I don't know if it's been canceled, but it was definitely happening. And as far as I know, that's all we know. I don't know.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that.
Those are my final thoughts. Is very good game. Give me that update.
All right, word. Maybe I don't know how moddable it is. Maybe a couple of mods would up the ante.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. All right. So, I'm looking at the rankings right now. We got. What do you want to do? Series ranking or set piece ranking?
Let's do the set piece first, and then we'll send it off with the series.
So we got two. We got two rankings so far. Number one is the Grave Mind from Halo 2, the scene where we're pulled through the corridors.
Where we teleport.
and then he teleports us. So we were pulled through the corridors by a big tentacle monster, ripped right out of Dead Space, or rather Dead Space ripped it right out of Halo. Or maybe they're just two original ideas that happen to resemble each other. Unlikely. Yeah, it looks like that, and he speaks to us in heptactic diameter or some shit, and he sends us on our way. And it's a big, scary, big tentacle monster, and it is spooky, and I think D. Bradley Baker voices him. That's number one on the set piece ranking. Number two on the set piece ranking is Halo Combat Evolved, and it is the Flood reveal. So it's that mission and halfway through the game where we go through this completely silent, completely empty level with a bunch of dead things everywhere. And we find out what the Flood is, and then we don't release it. Someone else did that, but we come upon them. And they're just big they're like 3 feet tall. They're scary.
They are quite spooky.
Yeah, and that's the ranking so far. So, first we have to decide on a set piece. Do we even have to discuss it?
We don't, but like, I want to give a shout out to the moment where the Flood lands on Earth and then we go and fight them. That was cool as shit.
Oh, where the what's it called? The atmosphere changes and like the sky, like it's all like black
blood
and muddy.
Red, and then you see like the ship come in, and then you're like, oh fuck! It's like if never mind. It's like if you see a plane coming down and you know someone on there has the first case of COVID-19.
That is an insane comparison. That is insane, but I like it. Though. It is true. And if I'm ever in that scenario, I guess I'll think back on this conversation. But yeah, that is a really good moment. I also really like the intro mission. I'll give a shout out to the intro mission. I do think the intro mission is really iconic for me, at least. Just running through the jungle, and we hear the brutes like howling and stuff like that. I actually remember most of the dialogue in that intro mission because I've heard it so many times, just like running through it and then hearing that one brute go, "Spread out, find them." I remember that to a T, and other shit like that. I really, really am a big fan of that. Oh, and of course the intro cutscene where Cortana's
Chief is napping.
Yeah, Chief is napping. But I really like the intro cutscene because it kind of sets something up that I think is really... I don't think they meant for people to take it very serious and to really like put it into the lore, but it's something that I've always kind of held on to because I think that is like a decent explanation for a lot of things that happens to Chief. But Cortana in the first cutscene is talking about, we see that like a shooting star, which turns out to be Chief falling from the ship, and Cortana's talking about the Spartan program. She's like, you know, there was so many other just like you, just as strong, just as smart, just as fast, just as clever, blah blah blah, but the only thing that sets you apart that I saw that no one else did was that you had luck. And then he like flies towards the camera and he explodes. And I really, really like that always, because that kind of, that we should be doing that more. Maybe, no, actually we shouldn't be doing that more, because then if more things start doing it, then it loses its charm. But I love it when, you know, the fact that Master Chief survives all of this shit is insane. It's complete insanity. Maybe, I was going to say it's kind of like Nathan Drake, but it's not as crazy as Nathan Drake, because, you know, Chief is I think it kind of makes sense that Chief survives a lot of the stuff, because he is like a killing machine. He is a UNSC Space Marine machine, and he's gonna get the job done. Meanwhile, Nathan Drake is kind of like, you know, he's a little silly guy, so it's kind of crazy that he survives all that shit and doesn't, like, you know, lose a blink of sleep over it. But both of those characters kind of have a running joke that, like, they're just really lucky. That's how they survive all of this shit. They're really, really lucky. And you know what? That's enough. That's enough for me to be like,
I don't need any more explanation.
yeah. And that's like, I need that sometimes in certain action movies and shit like that. It's just like, he is really lucky. And that's all it is. And so big shout outs to that. But
and I think his luck is probably what carries him through what I assume are actual set pieces, which is the escape run at the end.
Yes, the finale Warthog run. We don't even have to really debate on a better set moment in the game. It is a series-defining moment. It is possibly even, I would say, maybe not a generation-defining moment, but I would say a console-defining moment. Like that is an Xbox 360 seller right there. You know,
I tell you, my favorite 360 game for the longest time was Halo Reach, and I can't think of a set piece in that game that's better than this.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. But
We'll
I'm just saying this, that, like, as someone who had never experienced this until now, it holds up and it is awesome.
It certainly does. I mean, what could be said about it? You are driving a Warthog in a gigantic world that is collapsing around you. That's already very compelling for me. I like that stuff. I like a big destructible world falling apart around me while I'm running through and, you know, driving through. There's enemies. There's jumps and explosions, and you do have to, like, swerve out of the way. We've almost died a couple of times on our runs. It's a lot of fun, and of course, that soundtrack behind it, that 8-minute track that just builds and builds and builds until it's going crazy at the end, you know, and it even goes through until the final cutscene. Like, absolutely beautiful. It still gives me chills when I just watch videos of it. It's great.
I loved the Warthog escape scene at the end of Halo 1, but this just took it and, like, made... That was like a part of a level. This is a whole level, and that's pretty much all you need to know about how much more and better it is. Like,
yeah,
it is enough that they built an entire, like, I can't imagine how long it would take them to actually program and, like, design this level and make sure everything works. Like, we didn't get any bugs or anything. The only situations we had that were, like, bad was, oh shit, I fell off the edge, and that's our fault. You know what I mean?
That's our bad.
It was perfect melding of, like, gameplay, narrative, music. Just everything came together to make it just, you felt like you were there, and it was awesome.
And they could have fucked it up. They could have been like, here's a shitty boss. You know, like, Halo 2 ends with Tartarus, and he's just like, that's his name, right? Yeah. Yeah. Halo 2 ends at Tartarus, and I think we killed him, and you went, is he dead? And then the cutscene started playing, and you were like, oh. You know, could have ended like that. They could have given us the boss battle. They could have, against Guilty Spark, which, you know, I kind of just feel bad for Guilty Spark, because he's just programmed like that. He doesn't really have much of a choice. But yeah, we could have just killed Guilty Spark, and then, you know, that's it. That's the end of the game. But no, they were like, I think they knew. They were like, that's, you know, boss battles aren't really a first-person shooter thing. Let's have a real, like, this is the final boss. Here you go. Have fun.
Yeah, and I also don't know what the budget for Halo 3 was, but you have to imagine that they were firing on all cylinders. they were the goats of gaming at the time. So Microsoft was probably like, hey, we've been making millions of dollars off of Windows for like a decade. Let's give them as much money as they want to make sure this happens the right way.
Yep. And they pulled out all the stops. It really was like, this is it. This is the finale. And that's what I can sum up in Halo. Like all my feelings about Halo 3 are pretty much, this is it. All right. And that's what they did. That's what I felt like they were doing from the get-go. They were saying, this is it. No holding back. This is, even if we're going to make more games, we're going to pretend like this is the end, so we can't just jump around it. This is the end. And it's like no regrets. It's great.
So where do you want to put it? You think it's better than the Gravemind?
Yeah. I think, okay. Because the thing is, this is the first part. This is the first set piece that's game.
The Flood is game. The Flood is game.
The Flood is game, but like it's more of a narrative thing, I guess. I guess this is still a narrative thing, but like this is like game. This is when you're telling your dad about what you're doing. This is the thing that he understands. If you tell your dad about the Flood level and about like, yeah, it builds up a lot of tension, and it's this empty, silent level that the rest of the game isn't. You're just like, well, I don't know I'm gonna go watch the game, and then he walks away from you. But this is like, this is the game that you walk into like when the characters are playing a video game in a movie. They walk in and they're escaping the Ark, and they're like, whoa, is this the final level of Halo 3 on Xbox 360?
Awesome. Oh man!
So I'm gonna have to put it at number 1. I'm gonna have to.
I'm gonna agree with you. We're gonna put that in number 1. We're gonna bump the Gravemind down, and we got a new number 1 in town. I'm thinking ahead. Halo 3 ODST is gonna be interesting. I wonder what that set piece is gonna be. Guess we'll find out. I don't even know myself. Interesting. We'll find out.
I'm
excited because by the time we get to Infinite, it's going to be a little harder to determine where we want these things to go, because we actually will have to like rank them against each other.
We will. We're going to have, I think, how many Halo games are there? About
7?
Almost, actually.
8, 9.
8, yeah. Wait, 9. What's the 9th?
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Infinite. Then there's Reach and ODST. Oh, no, I was thinking of Halo Wars. Halo Wars 2, but we're not going to include that.
I'm not playing that.
I do want to play it, but not for this.
I played the original when I was younger. I didn't get it. Granted, I was 9, 10, 11. I don't know what I was anticipating. But yeah, so let's rank. Well, yeah, once we get to to set, like, playing 7 of them, 8 of them, this is going to be a much more interesting list. But as we have 3 of them, it's a little easier right now. So let's rank. You're already typing it in on our.
I already know. I already know where it's gonna end up.
Series
it's
ranking.
number 1, baby.
Yeah, let's start from the bottom. Series ranking number 3 starts with Halo 2, and I think our big criticisms of Halo 2. Not to say that we didn't enjoy Halo 2 as a game, but just compared to each other, we put Halo 2 at the bottom at number 3 because that campaign was really strange at times. There's a lot of weird gameplay mechanics that do not meld well. Complaints.
It's half a game.
It also is half a game. Quite literally half a game based on the story of its development. If you want to hear more about that, watch the Halo 2 mini episode. We'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm pretty sure. Number 2, Halo Combat Evolved, the first one. This is just, it's good old fun. It's
oldie but a goodie.
It's an oldie but a goldie. It's pretty much, it's like launching off Half-Life. You're like, this is a great game, but it's on Source 1, and it was made in, oh fuck, when was Half-Life made? Wasn't it made in
90, 98, I think?
Oh man, I need to see this right now. 98, yeah. I think Halo 1 was, what, 2000? Is that true?
It was with the original Xbox, so yeah.
Yeah. Halo 1 was 2001. Yeah, so, but yeah, you were playing Halo Combat Evolved, and you're like, this is fun. but it is certainly a game. It is certainly a first-person shooter from 2001. Hey, Half-Life 2 didn't come out yet and blow every shooter out of the water.
But as we can see, because we ranked it above Halo 2, simple is better sometimes.
It is quite better, and I think the biggest complaint is that it's kind of boring. You know, that's the biggest complaint. But you know, that's very subjective. Last time I played it, I didn't think it was boring. I had a very, very good time. So you know, more about that in our Halo Combat Evolved Minicast.
Let's watch the rest of them. And now, drum roll please. Our new number 1.
Yes.
Is Halo 3.
Halo 3, baby. And I think, you know, this is good. We should be, I think, as the series goes on, we should be like, yeah, the next game was better. The next game was better. That's a good sign.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll see.
I feel like
what
it
happens.
often isn't that. But
yeah, it really often isn't that. It's actually very stunning when a game series kind of just goes up in quality as time goes on. Usually most game series are like either slowly de-escalating in quality, or they're just so inconsistent that you're just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm getting at. It's like a Resident Evil game. You know, Resident Evil 9 is going to come out, and I'm just going to be like, I don't know. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I genuinely have zero clue.
Or as we'll see, if a new Halo game comes out.
If a new Halo game comes out, we're gonna. I mean, we don't have to talk about Halo 3, because we just spent 50 minutes talking about Halo 3. This is our longest minicast, by the way. Not very mini, but
it's still mini.
Yeah, but you know, this is an exciting one. We have to talk about Halo 3, kind of in the lens of the other two. So I think this one is definitely kind of justified in it being longer. Maybe in the next ones we'll try to trim it down a little bit. But you know, as they go on, we're going to be comparing them to each other. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about these rankings so far. You know, it's nothing too complicated. Maybe at the end, me and you are going to be like, you're fucking, what are you talking about? That should be, you're a fucking idiot.
I think that next is ODST. I think that either Reach or Halo 4 is going to bust everything wide open in how we compare and contrast the list.
Interesting, and that's ominous, and that could mean anything, you know.
We shall see.
We shall see, and I also want to mention that I feel like we make jokes about how we argue, about how we're going to argue about something, and then we just don't. So like,
we're very amicable. Both of us.
So I don't really. It's like a moot joke. I feel like it's like it doesn't happen. So
well, trust me, if it's gonna happen, I'll make it happen.
Well, I don't. I mean, if you do make it happen, you have to make it so ridiculously absurd that no one could ever conceive it as like real, you know.
The hosts are fighting.
Yeah, the hosts are fighting. That's like a narcissistic behavior, isn't it? That's like one of the things where it's like you just make up like fake arguments all the time, so then when you're in a real argument you don't know if it's real. It's like some fucked up like narcissistic abusive tactic that I read about like 2 months ago. I was like, what, people do this? Jesus Christ.
Maybe I'll start doing that on the next Halo episode.
Yeah, and never know. Start calling me names and shit and make me feel bad. Yeah.
But yeah, we got to play ODST next. I'm very excited for it. I'm going to download it right after this episode, so it's locked and loaded for when we're ready to play.
Oh yeah, we should get on that. We should get on that pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, but Ryan, we'll hash that out. We'll hash that out when we get to it. But other than that, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we hit the end button on this?
I like that one grunt that thinks he can take you at the end.
Oh yeah. Funny. We saw a grunt at the end. It's an Easter egg. If you're listening to this and you don't know about this, at the very end, there's a grunt. There's a secret grunt. I'm literally talking about the very end
spoils.
Of the warthog.
No spoils if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
go find the grunt.
So go find it. Maybe you'll see it in the video when I get around to making the video. I still need to make the Halo 2 video. I've been dropping the ball on the video. I've been very busy.
Yeah.
But yep. Hopefully we'll be moving on.
I think that does it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, I guess we will see you all in the Halo 3 ODST ranking minicast, where we're gonna have to determine whether it's better or worse than Halo 3 regular.
Yes.
I didn't know what to call it because it's not Halo 3 something. It's just Halo 3.
Halo 3 vanilla.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see you then. And thanks for watching the Halo videos.
All right. Thank you very much.
See ya.
See ya.